Alright guys, here is a SUZUSI 12-inch oscillating table fan. This was found from the curb about a month and a half ago. When I found this, there was a box fan in that same pile from I believe the 1960s. I just didn't take it, due to space. Now back onto the fan itself. When I found it, it was pretty much dirty. This was clearly in storage for a good period of time. The grills were starting to corrode, and the base, a layer of it was starting to turn into this powder dust that mostly happens with a lot of these Taiwanese fans from the 80s. Now, who knows who the manufacturer of this thing is? I kind of assume Hung Sing kind of has a lot of characteristics of that manufacturer, but not really. When I first saw it, I kind of thought this was a product from the late 70s, considering I had seen some fans like this from this time period. Now, for the color scheme they were using at this time, it was kind of outdated because a lot of products were moving on to beige tones. Take for example that Galaxy desk fan from the early 80s. That was made 2 years prior to this one, supposedly. And apart from that, the spacing of the grills were more closed in at the time too. Not all of them, but maybe a few. Let's take a closer look at the fan now. Alright, so this is what the push button control looks like. It's pretty much a copy of the Panasonics. There is your nameplate. And as you see here, I had to repaint the entire body. Looks really nice. Well, some portion of it, the paint chipped off. And you can kind of see that this was turning into that powder stuff. Matter of fact, there's a little tiny layer of it left. The neck bracket is still original. I did not replace that. Now I'm going to dig in behind the motor cover so I can show you what the motor looks like. It's very interesting, matter of fact. Before we do that, let's take a look at the blade set itself. Has some decent pitch, at least. And I'm guessing this is both of these parts are made of different plastics, because this survived and this one did as well. Now, another thing about this blade set, this does not use a screw-on blade cap, but this actually screws on from the side, kind of like these metal fans of the present. Very interesting concept there. Now to take a look at the motor. Alright, here is the motor now. As you see there, both motor shells have oil ports drilled into it. It is one of these that, only the back comes off. You cannot remove the stator unless you really have to. Now here is the interesting part of this fan. The gearbox is made out of mostly metal, including the gears. The main gear especially. This is mostly important to have something that a lot of products don't even use anymore. This design is actually better because with the plastic ones, a lot of stuff could go wrong with it, and then the oscillation just doesn't work anymore. Especially the same thing with the oscillation mechanism here. This is better too. I think this screws from no. This is actually stuck with a pin. But yeah, this is a very decent design. Matter of fact, this Star Era table fan from this time period also had this. This is a very good design here. Alright, now onto the badge. So I tried to redo the chrome here because it was pretty much entirely faded out, but the chrome spray paint does not really look that good. Now I could have left this with the base coating, which was pretty much the same color as this, because it kind of looked better. Now what really messed it up was the adhesive I used to glue the little badge in back. It pretty much leaked out from the sides and it got onto the paint here, and it really messed it up. But yeah. So anyways, we're going to start the fan now. Alright, so with that said, let's start with low. Now one thing to know here, this fan kind of runs like a high velocity fan. I presume the motor was meant for a cheap 16-inch blade from this era, because it really runs like a high velocity fan. The airflow, of course, on this one, it is very powerful though. Let's see, balance-wise. Seems to be a slight bit out of balance. Right, here's medium. Now, as you might hear there, the medium is already like a high on most fans. Cool power. Right. Six. As you see there, the oscillation mechanism functions very well. Alright, so last thing I noticed is that the oscillation mechanism seems to be of, I might guess, a 60-degree angle. It's not really that wide. Alright, it seems like the blade might stop in a bit. And one thing I forgot to show you is the tilting mechanism. Now, it's your usual tilting mechanism, but this one has a 90-degree tilting angle. It's a very wide tilting angle. Matter of fact, this is the lowest point. This is the highest. So I assume that's about an 80-degree tilting angle. I'm guessing this is meant for a wall to be mounted on the wall, but this has no holes at the bottom. But yeah, that'll be it for the video. So that's the 1984 SUZUSI 12-inch oscillating table fan.